Mr. Ottinger, could you talk a little bit about Nioxin and their international trade and how that's doing and what countries you're targeting these days?
Well, international for Nioxin is a growth area. About 3 years ago, we were in 20 countries, and that was built over the 15 years of the company. We are now enjoying 20 years in the business. And in the last 3 years, we are now in 42 countries. And that expansion continues. Within Latin America, we're right in the beginning processes of launching 6 more countries. There's a lot of white spaces, and those white spaces are what we call where we're not at the moment. Being part of Procter & Gamble, that gives us a lot of white spaces that we can expand to.
What would you say the most promising markets are in terms of growth for the future?
South America would be one of them. We also look at countries, particularly in South America, like Brazil. It's a huge market. The Asian market is going to be very large for us. Of course, China. We launched into mainland China last May, and we're doing quite well there.
Can you talk a little bit about the challenges of opening a new market, a new country? How do you get the consumers in that country to know your product and to buy it?
Fortunately, Nioxin has a great brand recognition. Even though we're a salon product and we only sell our products through professional salons, we are the #1 product within our niche, and that's talking about thinning hair. When we first go into a country, for me it's important to understand the culture. The story of thinning hair translates into every language. Every society, every human within that society, begins to lose their hair at some time. So it's an easy story to understand. I guess the most difficult is fitting it into their particular culture of the salon culture.
Do you have any advice for companies who are looking to expand overseas? What are some of the lessons you've learned as you've done this?
Probably the biggest lesson is regulations, the product registrations. That is the first place that you have to go. Your product, if it's not approved by the health ministry, then it doesn't matter what you're doing on the sales side of it, it's not going to get past the front door of the country. So that was one of the places that we added people inside for Nioxin. For Procter & Gamble, they have a huge network of people that work in regulatory in every single country. So it's been a great help by P&G helping us, especially in these 6 countries. It would have been one person here, and now we have someone in every country that's going to be able to help us move the product through the system.
Do you think a lot of companies are intimidated by things like that? They don't really understand how to get a product approved through a health ministry?
You've got to have the right person.
Right.
And I don't know if we were lucky, but right when we really started our expansion, we had someone walk in the door that was an expert at that. And he put us on the fast track of understanding the type of paperwork and the things that needed to be done by country, because it's really different for every country. There are certain things that we have now that we can't sell globally because of regulations. So every country has their little things they want to keep out of the country.
What would be a typical amount of time that it would take to get a product approved?
If we go back to Brazil, it's anywhere from 6 to 8 months. From the start of saying we want to get something in, the paperwork that has to go through, the documents that have to be signed. On the shortest, there are countries in Europe, because it's a European. Once you're approved in one place, you're basically approved in all of them.
Once you get through the EU, right?
In
yes.
the EU. So again, every region of the world has different regulations. The shortest I've ever seen is 3 months. And it can take up, I guess, there's some products in Brazil that could take up to a year.
Do you ship by cargo container through the Port of Savannah?
We use all ports.
Okay.
If you're shipping to Asia, we're out of Los Angeles and the West Coast. We ship a lot of things out of Miami for Central America and South America. Many of our distributors carry more than just Nioxin, so they like to ship things and combine everything in Miami before it goes to them.
And you make all your products right here?
In Lithia Springs, with the exception of hairspray.
And your overall percentage of international sales would be, these days, would be about what?
Today it's about 13% and growing fast.
Right. Is it growing, can you give me a ballpark figure as to how much it grows per year?
Last year we increased 30% over the previous year. I always like to throw that 130% of target. So.
Is it possible to get that kind of growth rate with domestic sales only, particularly in the economy the way it is today? Or?
If you go after the right customers.
Right.
And I can go back and give you some information about Nioxin. Back in 2002, their national account division was almost non-existent. They didn't have a lot of the bigger accounts. And over a period of maybe 4 years, we added very large accounts that have thousands of salons. And yeah, you can get that growth when you're adding on those types of accounts.
What about a company that says, well, why do I need international sales? I haven't even maxed out my local market. I got more business than I know what to do with. Why bother with them?
Yeah, surprisingly, the international sales will grow your domestic market. You know, a lot of domestic customers want to see a company that their story works everywhere. So our expansion to international actually strengthened the domestic market.
Just by prestige, or by, in other words?
Prestige, and you know, we really live in a flat world now. You know, with the internet, if we put something on our website here, instantly people in Australia, Asia, South Africa know what's on our website.
We talked earlier about the Department of Commerce. How can they help a company like you when you're going into a new market?
Well, they've been great for us. When we first contacted them, we were still a family-owned business, and we had a Rolodex of names of distributors throughout most of the areas. But when we contacted them, went down and did an interview, they have offices all over. So let's say Bogota, Colombia. We really didn't have a lot of leads. Being a country so close to us, they set up, it's called a gold key service that they do for a very low price, and they set up probably 15 interviews within the embassy there. So it gave us an opportunity to not just meet potential distributors in a country, but they also gave us a complete background of the marketplace. So we really, in one day, were able to do what probably would take an individual company years to accomplish.
Were you personally in on those interviews?
Oh yeah, I'm the one that actually got in contact with the department.
So you flew down to Bogota, they set you up in an office, and then
It was actually in the embassy itself.
In the embassy itself.
Because of the security, particularly in Bogota. So
then the potential distributors start coming in one by one?
They come in one at a time. They would do the interview. And actually the Department of Commerce pre-interviewed them based off of the form that we filled out. So, you know, they knew exactly who we were looking for. And then instead of having maybe one name on a Rolodex that you may know one person in a country, all of a sudden we had a whole handful of people to pick from. It does a couple of things for you. It causes excitement because now the other distributors are going, oh, there must be something pretty important about this brand. First thing they do is go to our website, and then they start to learn about Nioxin and who Nioxin is.
Do they also provide translators too?
Oh yeah, they did that in Chile for me, and actually the guy was fantastic. We were having a normal conversation. We didn't know what we were going to say when I walk into a salon, and it was an instant translation to the salon owner. It was almost like I was speaking in Spanish.